Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to have a guest. I love when I have guests on. I'm sure sometimes people get tired of just hearing me talk all the time by myself, but I've been so fortunate to have some amazing guests. And today you're going to enjoy this conversation. We haven't even had the conversation, but Whitney and I have been talking, and I just know it's going to be a great conversation. So today with me, I have Whitney Harper. And she is a founder with ADVOS Legal and ADVOS Pro. Welcome to your Profitable Law Firm podcast. I'm Kelley Brubaker, your dedicated host, passionate about empowering law firm owners. Let's dive into the hidden strategies that lead to overflowing profits, scaled growth, and thriving lives. This is where overwhelm transforms into confidence, enabling you to create and enjoy your dream firm and your dream life. Whitney, if you want to give us a little bit more background about yourself and your businesses.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. As you said, we haven't had the whole conversation yet, but I love what you're up to, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. So I am Whitney Harper. I am a co-founder of ADVOS Legal and ADVOS Pro. And ADVOS Legal, I think the easiest way to tell you kind of what we're up to is to tell you the story of how we got where we are. ADVOS Legal is a law firm that serves growth stage companies. We are outside general counsel. And my co-founder, Gwen, Griggs, and I, when we came together for ADVOS Legal, realized we both kind of had the same background. We had essentially the same careers, just a decade apart, and didn't know each other. We were in the same town, didn't know each other, which was bizarre because
It is, yeah.
the Jacksonville, Florida market, which we always say is like the biggest small town you'll ever want to know. But we hadn't run across each other. And we both had been in big law, billing by the hour, kind of the traditional model. But we also both had been general counsel within a company and had roles after that where we were running a business, right? So we weren't the lawyer, we were the client of the lawyer. And when you have that trajectory of kind of the typical standard operating law firm, then you go in-house where no one actually cares about how long, how many minutes you spent.
Oh, it is so different because I did a similar trajectory in my career. So big and then into corporate. So
Right.
it's such a
in a law firm, you are the product, right? And you're like, your metric is billable hours. And so you that's what you care about. Your clients never cared about billable hours, but like that's how you're measured. And so that's what you're thinking about. When you go in-house, right, then you're like, oh, wait, I'm part of this management team and we care about the results that our board wants from us or the results that we've set out. And the job that I have now is not how many point ones can I rack up in a day. It's how much value can we deliver? How far can we advance toward the team's goal in a day, in a week, stack a bunch of weeks together, get it, right? And so you're thinking about things through a different lens, and you really are understanding kind of the client's perspective differently. And you are the client sometimes, right? You're farming out work to lawyers.
right.
You kind of have a sense of how to manage that work. But it didn't, like, the whole shift didn't really happen until we were actually, I think for both of us, when you become the business leader and you're not the lawyer in the business, and in fact you have a partner who needs to deliver stuff for you, that is a bigger step than you would think, right?
It is. It's huge.
It really, I remember kind of probably the first few times I sent contracts to legal for review or, had needed stuff from legal, just thinking like, oh my, well, down a rabbit hole here. This is interesting.
Right.
Because you're then thinking about like my P&L and how is this contract going to get me closer to, what I'm trying to accomplish? And, is the issue that the lawyer's pointing out really an issue I care about? How does that weigh to my other concerns, right? Like we often talk about in contracting, just as an example, there may be risks in a contract that I'm going to make my client aware of. but those risks may not outweigh the risk of not getting the contract signed.
Exactly. Oh, and it's tough. It is
Yeah.
so tough just to shift the side of the table you're on. It's tough to see it. Well, and then you have, being in-house, you've got the salespeople are coming to you like, oh my God, I'm not going to make my quota if you can't get this contract approved. And you're like, dude, seriously,
Yeah.
would you sign a bad contract? And they're like, yes,
We would.
my bonus.
Yes, they would. Yeah.
I want the sale. I want the sale. I have to get it.
And so, you're in that seat where you're like, if you're running the business, you're thinking about how do I weigh those things and what are the different ways to accomplish this and all that, right? So you fast forward a little bit. After we've been in all those roles, Gwen and I meet up and I'm kind of ready for my next thing. She had just started ADVOS. And I was sitting down with her thinking like, okay, I'm going to just like meet this person who's a great connector in town, who's going to know who I should know.
Yeah.
So I sit down, I was like, I don't know what my next role wants to be, but I know I'm not going to be in a law firm, right? Because I'm thinking like traditional law firm, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Gwen, God love her, is completely undeterred. It's just like, yeah, okay, so let me tell you what I'm up to. Right. And she tells me that she has just started this firm with the intent that she's not billing by the hour. She's going to be outside general counsel. And she had some clients where she was working that way, but she hadn't yet figured out like bill by the what, right? So she knew like the concept. She was not going to bill by the hour. She wanted that approach of the feel of like, I'm part of the client's management team. I'm part of your business. I'm a business partner.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're talking about it. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. That makes all the sense in the world. So, I sit down thinking I'm having a networking lunch and 4 days later we're partnered. Like we are the same kind of crazy and we're going down. So
I love it.
Yeah. So we're in this like baby law firm. And we know that we are going to be outside general counsel for these companies. It really was interesting, just as a side note, being general counsel in a company that was doing a lot of acquisition.
Oh, yeah.
Had this interesting insight into businesses that were selling. We were gobbling up a lot of, family businesses, kind of the mom and pop shop concept. And we're buying these companies and getting pretty good prices on them because there are things that they didn't know about that if they had just had somebody to come alongside them, 6 months or years before.
Because they were kind of short-sighted with the expense. Right. And it was just didn't have a broker or an attorney involved. Right?
And they didn't even know that they should be asking these questions, right? Like in some cases, it's not even short-sighted. It's just like, there's a lack of awareness that these are questions you should ask or that you should find this kind of advisor to help you think ahead about what might be down the road. But we're getting, kind of discounts on these companies because they've done some stuff that's really simple. And so we knew like we wanted to fill that gap. We wanted to be the resource for these businesses that needed somebody. But in large part, they weren't accessing lawyers because they were, to your point, terrified of hourly billing, right? Nobody's calling a lawyer, particularly in like a growth stage company where you're watching expenses. This is not a PE backed company where there's just cash flying everywhere.
Right.
This is like, we're trying to make some things happen here and we got to stretch the dollars. And so those clients, they need that good counsel. They need somebody who they can talk to about like a problem that they're not really sure is a legal problem, or they're not sure what the question is. They just know that it's like not something's, they need some good advice, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Nobody's going to call a lawyer and just like, open up their checkbook and start adding zeros. You just
Exactly.
So we wanted to fill that gap, saw a need. We were very excited about the subject matter of what we're going to do. And we know that we don't want to bill by the hour, but we have to solve the problem of bill by the what. And
exactly.
So we found a whole bunch of ways not to do it.
Yeah. And but you have to do the trial and error because otherwise you just don't know. Right. So no, I love this approach. We're doing good.
So we looked around, we tried to find a proven method, right? We were like, nobody likes hourly billing, right? Everybody gripes about hourly billing. Somebody will have solved this problem and we can do it. borrow their framework and be on our way.
Right.
That was false. No one had solved this.
Yeah.
It's 2015 and no one has fixed this problem. So, this is 10 years ago. We're like banging around trying to figure this out. And we tried, I think kind of first off, we were trying to flat fee things.
Okay.
So like, okay, you've got a project, we're going to scope it out. And, you're a lawyer, so you're a little risk averse and you're doing something new, sure how it's going to go.
Oh yeah. Cause you don't know, you just don't know how it's going to turn. Like the client doesn't know how it's going to turn out. You don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. I agree. And I've gone through this myself. So I understand.
Let's put a flat fee on it and see how that goes. Right.
Right.
So you were trying to do that and you spend all this time and energy scoping out, what the project is, what the fee is, what's in scope and what's out of scope and like all of that. And you get the client to say yes, and you dive into the engagement. And in 30 minutes, something is different. The client has disclosed something you didn't know about, makes a choice that they didn't previously contemplate. The other party is pushing back. Turns out the type of project you thought it was isn't that at all. Now you've got so now you're back to let me go put a bunch more energy into rescoping,
right?
More conversation with the client and just it's like kind of this waste in the system, right? You've got all this,
and it's very time consuming. It absorbs energy. It's emotional. It's
and so like you're doing all of that, and at some point you get exhausted by it and you just go like, fine, I'm just gonna like the scope can creep and I'm just gonna bill what I said I would bill and be done with it. So then, either the lawyer loses because you don't bill what you really for the value you really delivered on the scope, or you lose because you keep rescoping and you're exhausting yourself with that and there's no energy there, right? So that was a bust. We didn't like that approach.
Yeah.
If you're listening, don't do that. Flat fees are not the way. But we knew like there was a way, right? There was going to be something. And actually we were having this conversation with a friend of the firm who is just, one of those smart people who sees a lot of different industries and loves to think about a business problem, which is we're that way too. Like the business nerd, give me a sticky wicket.
Exactly.
So he's, kind of listening to us in this problem and he's like, have you heard about like what the software engineers are doing, right? The people who are coding are using this method, the sort of Agile-Scrum methodology. And I think there's a corollary there. And so we started digging into it and it really, there's a whole bunch to unpack in Agile-Scrum methodology. Like it's tremendous. But the key for us was the concept of quantifying, like taking a project, breaking it down into its component parts. So you take the project, you think about what are all the deliverables in it. You don't need to know every single thing, but if you can get the gist of what are the things we do know and understand there's going to be some other stuff. Then you can quantify those components. So those pieces that are deliverables within the project get quantified into a kind of a sizing system, right? So medium, large, like t-shirt sizing, we just quantify it into, we call them points. So, a 1-point thing is half as big and complex as a 2-point thing.
Absolutely.
And as we did that, you think about it like tokens in an arcade. If you're a kid, you walk into the arcade with 10 tokens. You play skee-ball 10 times or laser tag twice because way more complex and interesting than skee-ball, right? Same thing here. Your NDA might be a 0.5 point. Your purchase agreement might be 3 points, and a round of negotiation might be a 0.5 point. So you kind of you can size things right there. So he kind of puts us onto this corollary. We start playing with it and we realize this is going to work. This has legs. So we started with projects, and what would happen is, again, the inevitable scope creep, but in a really good way. So now we're talking about, a client who has a project and we say, all right, I think your project has these components in it. And they're, based on what we've talked about, those components are probably, this one's maybe 1 to 2 points. This one's probably 2 to 3 points. This one might be a half point. There's going to be some other stuff, and some of these things might shift. But client, here is how you get a sense of what the project is.
Yeah.
And what it's likely to cost. And what are the factors that are going to fold into whether something costs more or less within its range, right? So the client kind of has the sense of their ability to influence the fee and, make the choices they make, the way they decide to negotiate, the counterparty they choose, all of the things, the complexity they build into something. And obviously our practice is kind of corporate, commercial contracting, M&A work, like that kind of stuff. But it works in all sorts of contexts. It's, you have a project, you can break it down. So the scope creep thing is great in this case, because what happens is you're working with a client, the project itself shifts. It's just points. So you can say, but we think it's going to be 3 points. Now it's, it's gotten more complex. It's actually 4, or we've made this shift. Yeah. And instead of having to go back and re-scope and like, okay, well, this is in scope and that's out, we're just talking about what are the deliverables that ended up being in the project.
Right.
And, client understands that and can kind of see it in a more material way. And there's frankly less to argue about, because it's not like, did it really take you 15 minutes to read my email?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, trust me. Because I did billing years ago for law firms, and some of the bills I would read, I would be like, oh my God, am I really typing this time ticket that says,
oh my gosh,
blah, 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 whatever, telephone conference. And I'm like, but they were all on the call. Were you really on the call for a half hour?
Yeah. It's
like something that's verifiable. And it just, I don't know. It just freaks me out. I don't know why. I mean, but what you're explaining, I kind of feel like it's a tree. So you've got your trunk, like the tree trunk is like the main, like this is the initial project we're going to start with. And then, then from there, as you go up the tree, it just branches out. And so if the client chooses to go in this path, it might have little offshoots here. And if they go this path, it might only have one little offshoot. And so, but it's visible, and it's something that it becomes tangible. And I think it becomes realistic and something that they can plan. Cause I know, I mean, I'll just be upfront. I'm divorced. And so, what happened? We get separated, and, I'm like, oh my God, I need to find an attorney. And every attorney I talk to, it's all hourly. And I'm like, oh, fine, whatever. But then I was panicked every time I had a call, because I knew, because I think it was like $250 or $300 an hour, but I just knew every time I called. And now at that time I had been working with lawyers. So I'm like, I would call the paralegal. I'm like, cause I know you're cheaper. So I'm going to call and ask you first. And then it got to the point we kept going back and forth with different things in our agreement. And I got to a point, the other attorney would not redline. She would just go and edit the Word document, PDF it, and send it back to my attorney. And I'm like, time out. If I am paying my attorney by the hour, you will be sending me a red line version, so I know what changes you made.
Yes.
And I know this is possible. I'm not,
I love that you did that.
Oh, I was so mad. Like, we went back and forth, I think twice. And by the third time, I was like, time out. If I see one more copy that's not red line, I'm done. We're done talking at this point. And I'll tell you what, within 30 minutes, we got the red line copy. And from then on, it was red line. I'm like, just give me the red line.
A client not too long ago who, like, new management team member at an existing client who came in, and so he was unfamiliar with the way we worked, and he confessed to Gwen, like, you're the first lawyer who I've ever known anything about. Like, I have always made it a point to not know anything about my lawyer's children. Sports they're into, like what team they like, none of
chit chat. Blinders are on, chit chat, focus.
Someone early in his career gave him the sage counsel of, listen, when you are talking to our lawyer, I want you to picture a stack of $100 bills on your desk that is on fire until you hang up the phone.
Like, oh my God,
what a vivid imagery.
Oh my God,
that's how he was thinking about his lawyers, right? That was his mindset. And now he's like, okay, I get it. Because part of the key to this model is there is no clock ticking on anything.
Right.
So on
Yeah.
call, we talk about on-call counsel, right? The ability to just pick up the phone and talk to us about your project or about any other project.
Yeah.
All included. And
Right.
so clients they will call you, they will let you ask the questions you need to ask to actually understand the the project fully and give them a much better outcome because they're
Right.
not worried about that ticking clock. The other thing that's great is you just freed up the client to call you and market more work to you.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
people all the time hear this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, your clients are going to call you all the time. They're going to chew up all your time." Like, no, no, no. Maybe if my practice was like disability law or something where like people have more time on their hands. I don't know.
Exactly. It's
I,
yeah. Yeah.
our
No,
clients
I agree.
have
They're so
better,
busy.
they have
Yes.
things to do, right?
Yes.
So they're talking
Yes.
to me
Yeah.
because they actually need to talk to me.
Yeah.
And if I can listen and either help them understand how to avoid needing legal work on something, right?
Yeah.
So let's get ahead of this thing, building
Right.
tremendous trust.
Yeah.
Or I can help them think about what are the ways we might solve it together and what that looks like. Then they feel equipped. They're empowered in a way that is very different than I think what their interaction with a lawyer otherwise would be. So
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah.
yeah. So we talked a little bit about like the scope creep that's good in the sense of like your project can shift as
Yeah.
projects do, and it's just points. But the other way that scope creep happens, it's beautiful in this model, is you start working with the client, they feel empowered, they understand what they're going to pay for, they understand that you are charging them for the valuable deliverables,
Yeah.
and and you are like you don't have to be the cheapest when you're doing this, right? Like you
Absolutely not. It's all
have
about
their
the value.
price. They
Yep.
know what they're paying
Yep.
for, and they can decide if they're happy to pay that
Yeah.
price for that
Right.
solution. And so when they understand that, then there's the scope creep of, hey, I have this other issue that I need your help on too.
Yeah.
Right. Which isn't
Yeah.
really scope creep in the sense of that same project, but it's the engagement enlarging. And
Right.
that was where we then walked clients into a membership approach. So we moved from like it's all going to be projects to projects. We'd still do a lot of project work. And often that's the first way a client engages us, right? They show up
Right.
with a thing.
Oh,
And then
absolutely. Yeah.
they have more things and they like the way we work together. And so then it shifts to you pay us a consistent monthly fee. We help set the fee so that it's at the right number of points for you based on what we know, how fast you're moving and how complex your work is and what's going on.
Right. Right.
But then our clients are on this member model and they have an allocation of points to use in a calendar quarter.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of wraparound, like we'd have regular meetings with them that way. And they know they're going to have a check-in with us every couple weeks or every month, depending.
Right.
And a whole bunch of other kind of wraparound service with that they feel great about that helps us
Absolutely.
engage with them, which keeps us top of mind and keeps the work coming, which is tremendous. And we found that was actually a really profitable, fun for us and like enjoyable for the client way to
Yeah.
and it turns out that a lot of lawyers, I don't know if you know this, are not terribly profitable and are not really enjoying their work. Right?
I do know this. I know some that are, or one or the other. They're either extremely happy with their work but broke, or they're making a ton of money but miserable.
Yeah, and the other
No.
piece, the time, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that's often why you're in one direction or the other is like
Yeah.
you're enjoying your work and you have time freedom, but you're not making enough
Yeah.
money to make it
Yeah.
worthwhile, or you're making a lot of money, but you don't have much time
Yeah.
and you're not really enjoying it. And so as we realized like this is a system. This process works. This method for how we are pricing our work has foundationally shifted what results we're getting in our law firm.
Right.
Other lawyers started to take notice, and we had some who essentially like demanded that we take their money and coach them into our method, which was great.
Absolutely.
It's tremendous. So we we took our model, our method, distilled it into kind of a course that other lawyers could take,
Okay.
and coaching that goes with that. If if people want coached, the coached approach to that, which works really well, just to have somebody to talk through it with,
Right. I mean,
Um,
because it's lonely being a founder. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've owned my business for 20 years. And it's so hard. And when I first started, like I started right about the time YouTube started, but it was all the pranks and the dances. Nobody was on YouTube giving advice, right? And I only knew a handful of people that owned their own firm. I came from a
Yep.
family of blue collar workers. My mom worked in retail, my dad was a fireman, and they were like, "You're gonna do what? You're gonna work for yourself? Are you flipping crazy?" I
right,
mean, seriously, right? It was terrifying. And I was like, at the time I was single, I had a dog and a cat in the house. I was like, worst cases, I lose my house and I move back home with mom and dad. Which they were like,
this
what?
is why they were terrified.
Like, really, they were terrified about the health insurance. They're like, how are you going to pay for your health insurance?
Yeah.
But I only had a couple people that I could talk to, but they were local to me, and everybody was like, hush, hush, we can't share what we've done. We did it on our own. You'll figure it out too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
seriously? So it actually took me branching out to talk to other business owners who were not CPAs. And then I started to collect. I'm like, oh, now I get it. Started reading tons of books, which one of my first jobs as a kid was working at the library, but I would read fiction all the time.
Yeah.
So I had a shift into the nonfiction, the business books, but it was a lot of reading and a lot of research, and then I started finding courses and coaches and things and different training, but then everything shifted in an amazing way. And I love, you guys latched onto this and ran with it, because it is such a valuable resource to have, to be able to get into a room with other people and just realize you truly are not competitors. There are so many clients in the world. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so many that you're not, even if you're in the same town, you're not competing. I mean, even where I am, I have a handful of local clients, and none of them are law firms. They're all nonprofits, because locally I'm known as the nonprofit person. Uh, and I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to do this. And most of it's pro bono, which, but it's just kind of my way to give back a little bit. But I meet with so many different people, and it just get amazing ideas. And it's just great to be able to bounce ideas off of people, and like, hey, that worked for me, but it didn't work for so-and-so. And there's all reasons why something works for somebody and doesn't work for somebody else. But just to be able to have people to talk to is just an
And I
amazing
think
resource.
in the law firm context, right, lawyers understand that their clients look to them to be experts.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to feel safe out in public asking questions, right? To say like, I don't know how to do this, or,
Right.
who's the go-to for this thing, right?
Yeah.
And no one bothered to tell lawyers that they are, whether they own their own firm or they're in someone else's firm, or they're, in whatever other situation, you're in a business. Like, we call it the business of law, and that's not supposed to be a business. And it's almost like it's gauche for lawyers to talk about profitability or their or whatever. And so you need a safe space to talk about that, because we're, huge secret, lawyers and egos go together pretty well. That, like, you have this pride of like, I'm really great at lawyering. And it's super awkward to be like, also, I have no idea how to run a business.
Right. I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, seriously, I'm a CPA, and I had no clue what I was doing. I stumbled around for at least 5 years. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't. I know the debits and the credits. I know the cash in the bank, but like some of this other stuff, I just didn't get. I mean, I didn't know anything about marketing or any of it. Operations, I just didn't know.
Like, the thing that worked for one person might not be the thing that works for somebody else. And there are different, kind of, some of it's about the culture you want to build, or those.
Right.
But
absolutely.
What we found is that lawyers really do want that kind of community, the ability to talk with each other about, whatever's going on in the running of their business, or, even like being able to refer to each other, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so we actually, we built the points method. So we call it the P3 method. And we built a course to teach people how to do that. And then people came through that course and were like, okay, I need
Now what?
right.
Yeah.
Like I got the pricing
Right.
thing figured out, but there's
Right.
you've opened my eyes to the fact that this is a whole business
Yeah.
and I can design it differently. Right. Like I think
Right.
you start in this default mode of it has to operate like a law firm has always operated,
Yes. Yes.
which, is we're gonna bill by the hour and I'm just like I'm the product and I can only have so many hours a day and that's
Right.
what I'm doing.
Right.
Uh and technology is scary and I'm not gonna try to get more efficient or any of those things, right? Like that old
Right. Right.
then you go, okay, well, wait, I can divorce my pricing from
Mhm.
my time. And I now have an incentive
Right.
to get more efficient and to think about processes and systems and delegation and
Right.
checklists, like those kinds of things. And I can measure my performance differently and be more profitable and enjoy my time more. And that's all great. But I need to now I need to think about it a little differently, holistically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had people come through the P3 method course and say, all right, I need more. And we realized that we are such business nerds. We've actually already gathered a whole bunch of resources and
Yeah.
methodologies and tools and playbooks and all these things for how to build a business you really love that loves you back.
Right.
So we put all that together in a set of resources we call the Path to PROmance. So it's really
Oh my, I like
like
that.
business model design and then executing on it in a way. So first kind of thinking about what it is you actually want from your business
Yes.
and like what you want, not what everyone else says you're supposed to.
Exactly. It's not exactly because that was my trap. Those are my handcuffs when I first started. It was what everybody else was doing. They
Yeah.
had to have been right. And I'm like, but they were all miserable.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't
And
doing.
listen,
Yeah.
there are people who want to build their firm, like what they want is to
Yeah.
build an empire of 20 lawyers and, this like machine, and that
Yeah.
thrills them. And there are other people who are like, if I have to manage another human,
Exactly.
I will not build it. Right. Like,
Exactly. Right.
and those two
Right.
people are both right. Right. They're
Absolutely. I
both exactly
agree.
right, as
Yes.
long as they're keyed into what it is they want from their firm.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's thinking about what you want, then taking kind of the honest assessment of where you off track, and then manageably executing on the things that get you closer to where you want to be. And I think that's a hard part for lawyers who often are sort of all or nothing perfectionist people.
Right. Right.
And so we really like work hard on helping our members who are law firm owners, really like getting clear on just one thing. What is the
Yeah.
one thing we're going to work on? And what is
You have to focus on one thing at a
yeah.
time. I agree.
And what is
Yeah.
the one next bite-sized piece? Like can
Yeah.
be done in the next 2 weeks
Yeah.
of that one thing, and checking in and just that one-on-one support, the accountability, somebody
Yeah.
alongside you to say, okay, here's what I think we need to work on. Here's the resource, the tool, like laser guiding you to, here's the
Right.
thing that's going to help you do that. Here's the step. And we're going to check back in 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
make sure you're getting it done. And it's doable.
Yeah.
It's going to distract you from the practice of law and
Right.
derail
Right.
your ability to still make money and serve your clients well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have this path to PROmance concept that is the continuation of, what our clients needed there. And we have a round table where we've got some lawyers who are law firm owners come together once a month, and they have the most incredible conversations, helping each other kind of
Yeah.
solve for whatever's keeping them up at night. And
Yeah.
it's been really cool because sometimes it's law firm management stuff. Sometimes it's like life management, right? Like I've got to
Right.
manage my
Yeah.
time better or my mindset,
Right.
whatever. So like we'll have a conversation that veers from mindset all the way to like what facts solution are we using because the state requires facts, right?
Right. Right.
But you made a point about that, like the need for community and
Yeah.
the ability to have those conversations in a safe space. We realized that that was a big need too. And so we built an online community that is a private community, but it's free for
Okay.
from owners. And I think you're in there in the exchange. Uh,
I have to provide my info. I promise I'll do it this week.
yeah,
I got
you'll find there.
sidelines.
But by the time this is airing, you'll be in there, right?
Yes. Oh, totally. Absolutely. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's, there is a section of it that has some trusted service providers, people who really know law firms and can be a great resource for the advocacy members.
Yeah.
But most of the community is closed off just for law firm owners. And it's a private space for those law firm owners to be able to have the conversations with each other.
Right.
And, kind of get the support they need, find the person who they need to refer to when they've got to send something out, or, or just like commiserate, frankly.
Well, that's just it. I mean, sometimes it's just having somebody who understands what you're talking about. I mean, because for the longest time, I didn't have that. And it took me, once I finally found my group, I now have my tribe that I've built around me over the last couple of years. And, it's something that, we've got a WhatsApp group. So if I need something, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've just had this crazy day. I can just jump in and be like, guys, I'm just so down. And then right away, they know exactly. And it's just like, hey, okay, yes, today might have been a bad day, but just remember last week you were so excited about X, Y, and Z. And next week you have this coming up. I'm like, okay, you're right. That's all I needed to know. I just needed somebody just to understand me. That's all I needed. I'm good, and we do it, it's constant. So it's just nice to have other people who know what, who have probably been there. And if they haven't, they might have been on the fringe of it. And because all of us, we all react different. I mean, I try to tell people, I try to help, firm owners with filling in their tool belt. So, you go to a job site, to a construction job site, and everybody might have a tool belt, but one might have hammers and wrenches and screwdrivers stuck in the little pockets, but somebody else might have, wrenches and other, like a saw or something. Like they all have different tools because they need different things for different reasons. And so I try to help people, let's put your tool belt on. Okay, now what do we need to help to get what are the right tools you need to get you into where you're going? So, and it's about, I mean, same thing. It's what, I have the same conversations. It's what do you want? And anything's possible. Do you want to work more hours? I mean, I have some firms who are just like, I just cannot work more than, 30 hours a week. I've got the X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, great, let's make that happen. What do we need to make it, what needs to happen? And just let's laundry list of what your problems are. There's some that I can fix, some I can't, some you're going to have to decide, but I will help you with making those choices and figuring out how to get you there. So no, absolutely. So
it really is interesting. I think when you see somebody like with the light bulb of, I do get to decide, right?
Yeah. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Like when you get to decide and then you get to start executing on it and seeing it happen, it's so gratifying, right? Like I love, so we still have the law firm. It's going strong. We love that practice. And I have so enjoyed like the legal superpower, right? The ability to bring that to bear for our clients in the law firm. But you're going to talk about like life's work, helping other lawyers build practices they love, that love them back, sustainable and joyful, and that pay them well. So that they can go be their best selves for their clients, for themselves. Like that is incredible. And we're so able to do that at ADVOS Pro. That I really like, I'm very much enjoying that work, and we're excited about kind of the impact that we're having on the profession, right? I think it's a noble profession that has gotten a bad rap for a really long time. And and we owe it
because I'll have people who will say, I'll meet somebody, like if I go to school, I'm heavily involved in my kids' school stuff. And so I'll be at a PTA or a band thing or something, and I'll meet a new parent. They're like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a CPA. And it depends on who it is. Sometimes I say I'm an accountant. Sometimes I say I'm a CPA. And and then usually the reaction is like, oh, and I'm like, but I don't do taxes. I hate taxes. Don't ask me any tax questions. I have somebody else do my tax returns. I can't do them. And so, So, so then it's like, well, can you help and then that's how that led into the nonprofit stuff. So what happens is I get, somebody is involved in a nonprofit and they're like, hey, we have a problem. And I'm like, no, 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 don't, nope, not me. Don't do it. And then I got sucked into some of them. So,
Yeah.
but I'll just say, no, really, I work with law firms. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'll say, well, my firm is called Profit Scale Thrive. I want to help guide attorneys to overflowing profits, scaled growth, and thriving lives. And they're like, usually I get this look like attorneys are driving, Bentleys and like all this. And I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're like, well, I had this thing and this attorney cost me $500 an hour and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but what you're not seeing is for that $500 an hour, that attorney only probably billed 2 hours in a 10-hour day. So that's $1,000. And from that $1,000, they had to pay rent. They have a receptionist. They have their, liability insurance. Like there's all these things, all the tech, the research, just the ability, Westlaw or LexisNexis. This stuff costs a shit ton of money. So for that $1,000 that you paid this person for one day, like I'm telling you, there was no profit to be made that day.
Yeah.
And
by the
so
way,
it's a conversation people don't want to hear.
Yeah. And they had to bill it after the fact and refund you.
And that absolutely
chase your payment.
Yes.
And all of that, right?
Yes.
Argue with you about the bill.
Right. Yeah, because you had to call and be like, was it really, 1.9? Wasn't it like 1.5 hours? And it's, trust me, I try to do the best I can to tell non-lawyers who work with lawyers.
Yeah.
Like, just relax. I'm telling you, their billable rates are that high because they're worth it. They're keeping your butt out of jail. They're keeping your butt on the good side of the risk. Like they're there to fend for you. Like they're your, they're your warrior. They are well worth what they do. And they've been through 7 years of school. I mean, like seriously, there's a lot going on here.
Well, and if you think about it, like if only the lawyer were value framing on the front end for that client,
Right.
Being able to say, this isn't about how many minutes it takes me to do it. This is about this solution. And here's that kind of work. And being able to give the client a sense of it on the front end so the client can make a decision and then be happy to pay that invoice.
Yes.
Really about doing your best work for clients who are thrilled to pay you what it's worth.
Right? Oh, absolutely.
Like that's, that is totally.
Oh, totally. And it is. I've actually seen, so I'm not so much in the day-to-day. I'm more of a high level person now, but back in the day, I would do bookkeeping for law firms and I would see, payments would come in and I've seen checks before where clients have written, thank you in the memo line, or I couldn't have gotten through this without you. Or, like, you're amazing. And I'm just like, I want to take a copy of that and frame it. Because normally people are just bitching and complaining. Like, so to be able to get a smiley face or any positive reaction and they're paying you, like, is a win. Let's hold on to that. So it is possible. It absolutely is possible. Well, Whitney, we have had an amazing conversation today. Exactly what I thought. Even better, really, than what I imagined. And, so thank you very much. I will make sure. So when we release this podcast, we'll put into the show notes links of how people get in touch with you. And because you're definitely a wealth of knowledge and there's just so much available that to be able to share it is just amazing. So, but I just love the idea of getting away from the hourly billing. I know when I did it, it took me a really long time to get out of the hourly billing. And once I did, it's so hard now. And I do have a handful of projects I still do now. If I do a project that's, something that I'm just like, oh, I really don't know how long it's going to take, because I could get into it and it could just be like this hour thing, or it could be a 10-hour thing. And I really right now don't know that I'll bill by the hour. And I just cringe because I'm like, oh, now I've got to give you an hourly rate. I know I've got to track my time. I don't want to do that. And, but, but for me, it's about value and relationships. I mean, it's the same thing. So I have my handful of services that are, it's this much per year, it's payments by month. but here's the value you're getting out of it. Here's what we're meeting, we're doing these things. So it's all about the value. And it's just ditch the hourly billing, man. So
Yeah.
I was just thankful that we, kind of crossed paths. We got a shout out to Manny for connecting us. And
Yeah.
um,
Thank you, Manny.
so yeah, so that was just amazing. But this has been a great episode. I really appreciate your time
I've so
and
enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me. It was really fun.
no, thank you very much. But like I said, we'll leave in the show notes, we'll leave how people can get in touch with you with any questions about points.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelley.
Running a successful law firm takes more than legal expertise. It requires financial mastery, strategic planning, and data-driven decision-making. At my accounting firm, Profit Scale Thrive, we specialize in helping law firms achieve lasting profitability by providing tailored financial guidance, optimizing cash flow, and equipping you with the insights needed to scale with confidence. Ready to take your firm's finances to the next level? Join our private community for law firm owners called Your Profitable Law Firm Community. Each month, we dive deep into essential topics about the business side of running a law firm. This is your opportunity to connect with other firm owners, share challenges, and discover proven solutions in a supportive environment. Visit ProfitScaleThrive.com today to join our community and access resources specifically designed for law firm owners just like you. Have a question about today's episode? Drop a comment below. Know of another firm owner struggling with their finances? Share this episode. It might be exactly what they need. Click that subscribe button to get notified when we release new episodes with more practical financial insights for your firm. If you found value in today's discussion, please take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback helps other law firm owners find this content. And remember, profit is something you intentionally plan for in the beginning. It's not a potential bonus at the end of the year. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you inside the Your Profitable Law Firm community.